Hi, this is Kendra. You can find me as cutseypucreations on YouTube and Instagram and Etsy. So, I'm starting a new thing. We homeschool our 3 kids. Our oldest is almost 7. She is doing 2nd grade work. Our middle son is 3. And currently we're kind of starting in on before 5 in a row. And our youngest son is 2. He also joins in on whatever he feels like. So I have added in more read aloud time to our schedule this 2nd semester. And so I thought I would start doing some videos covering what's in our book basket every Saturday. So I'm going to go over what we're reading and kind of talk about what we read last week so that you can, see what's up. So this is what our book basket looks like. It's kind of on a low table so the kids can access it to either get me the books or just so they can experience them. It's kind of sitting by our couches, which have my assorted junk on them, as one has. And we're in the same room as the table where we do a lot of lessons and eat our meals. It's a bit like strewing, I guess, which is the concept of you kind of leave things around and the kids just discover them. Because I put the books in here this last week and I'd anticipated most of them being read-alouds, and then the kids kind of got into a lot of it themselves and did a lot of really interesting learning on their own. So that was cool. So things that we have been reading that go along with our lessons as far as read-aloud is concerned. Our history curriculum includes stuff out of A Child's History of the World, and that's by, Virgil Hillier, and Story of the World by Susan Weiss Bauer. We're studying the ancients right now. And we also do things out of the Usborne internet-linked World History Encyclopedia. So those are things that are directly school curriculum-based. I also do read-alouds out of, we're covering curriculum called Adventures in America for U.S. history. So there are sections in that, I read. Clearly, everything we do ends up having reading as a component. Okay, so camera battery died, lighting has changed, location has changed, that hopefully you can still see me. But here's what else is in the basket. So for artist study this week, we picked a card out of our Dr. Noggin's artist set or whatever. Anyways, we picked Ruben, and so we read about him in this Encyclopedia of Artists that I got from a sale at our library. I paid $25 for this, and I got the entire set, so it was like, actually, I ended up getting it in a bag sale because there were so many of them. So I paid $1 for a whole set of these artist encyclopedias, which are super cool. As far as American history, we read this book, Paul Revere's Ride, The Landlord's Tale. It's got the poem by Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, and it's illustrated by Charles Santori. It was nice. I liked it. I think the kids gave them a better idea of what the whole poem and story covers. We also, for American history, have been reading through this book. It's called America is Born by Gerald W. Johnson. And I got this from the library also on a book sale. I think it may have been the same one. But it was published in 1959. Let's see. Checking the copyright right now. Yes, 1959. So clearly some of the things in here, it's the terminology is different, not the content is different. We can start it from the beginning and kind of reading through it. It does bring up some good points for discussion, too, as far as some of the language that is used and how it's not necessarily politically correct or the kindest language to use. But it gives us something to talk about. And then we are reading, or I am reading, Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. My daughter did, that's upside down. There you go. My daughter did a reading comprehension thing using an abridged version of this book, and she wanted me to read the longer version. So it is by Kate Douglas Wiggin, and so far it's interesting. We're not very far in, but I've never actually read that story, so I thought it was kind of cool to catch up on. We were reading poems out of Sing a Song and Popcorn. Mostly this week we've been reading weather poems, which has been appropriate because there has recently been weather. There's always weather, but there's been weather worth talking about. And we are a few chapters in to the Betsy Tassie Treasury. We got this from the library a couple years ago and ended up buying it for my son for Christmas last year because he asked for it. And so we've read through most of these books, though I don't know if I've ever gotten all the way to Betsy and Tassie Go Downtown. But we've read the first few books, so we're only a few chapters into the original book of Betsy Tassie. And that is good. And then we have an entire well, 3 shelves full of books over there. And so I just went through and I grabbed 5, well, I guess it ended up being 6 off the shelf and just stuck them in here, not caring what they were, regardless of season, holiday, whatever. And they turned out, some of them were Christmas books. But it's actually kind of nice to read those out of season because you get a little overloaded with that around Christmas. The 3 of them were Frank Ashbear stories. And these have been favorites. These were my favorites when I was a kid. They were actually from a weekly reader book program when I was little, my mom got. So there's Popcorn, which is a kid who eats too much popcorn and his parents bring him some more. Bread and Honey, and Sandcake. So we've been reading those a lot, both the adults reading to the kids and then my daughter reading to her siblings. Merry Christmas, Stregonona, which is the Tommy DePaola story. So that has been read. We've read Merry Christmas, What's Your Name? By Bernice Chardier and Grace Macaron. Short, little, easy reader kind of book. My daughter's been reading that mostly to her siblings. And Santa's Secret Helper, which has been a fun little treat. The pictures in that one are really pretty. They're watercolor images. And then Turkey Trouble, which is a family favorite. This is by Wendy Salvano. And it's funny to see Turkey doesn't want to be eaten for Thanksgiving. So, you know, he dresses up in all sorts of costumes. Like here he is, being a pig. There he is. Yep. So, we read those as just kind of general books to have in here. Kind of for some nature study. I've been reading them stories out of the Audubon book of True Nature Stories. Again, a book I got from the library at a book sale. We're 2 or 3 stories in, and they're kind of interesting. They're obviously written for an adult level, but the kids have been picking up on what's happening and are interested too. And then these were left over for some book reports my daughter did a couple weeks ago, but we've still been reading them again this week. Big Sarah's Little Boots by Paulette Bourgeois? Anyways, I believe it's the same woman that wrote Franklin and Brenda Clark, and the woman that wrote Franklin the Turtle, those books. And then she did a nonfiction book report on dolphins by Margaret Davidson. And this book was actually really informative, and the language was very simple, but still, I don't know, scientifically accurate. So, that was good. And for our 5 in a row, or before 5 in a row that we're working on right now, we are rowing Jessie Bear, What Will You Wear? And I'd only read it once, and this is by Bruce Deegan. And I'd only read it once, and my son was already quoting Jessie Bear last night. Just because. So I thought that was cool. I had never read these books till I rode them with my daughter. And all of the books in the Jessie Bear series are really good. The pictures are good. Stories are good. I highly recommend them. So that is what is in our book basket this week. I will see you all next Saturday with another Book Basket Saturday.